Welcome everybody to the Survivor Bros podcast. I'm Brennan. I'm joined by my brother Tanner, and we just got done watching the sixth episode of Survivor 43, and what an episode it was! Great episode. We see Ellie go home. Gabler finally gets his revenge. Tanner, what do you think about this episode? First of all, how are you doing? And what did you think
I'm
of this
do-
episode?
I'm doing good. I'm really happy to be here with you, recapping another great episode of Survivor. This one in particular was really solid, like you said. I think this episode is one that you can really hold next to season 41 and season 42 and say this is an example of how Survivor has improved and how they've listened to the fans and how they really found their flow with these modern seasons. We'll talk about how they improved the twist at the mergatory. We're officially through to regular merge now. Unfortunately, we did see the downfall of Ellie. She was a great character, but like we predicted, her and Janine were too tight of a duo, and she became too big of a threat, so she had to go tonight. We'll talk about whose move it really was to get her out. I honestly say James. But speaking of James, let's go to Coco at the beginning of this episode, getting tree mail to find out that they've reached the Mergatory. James had a really cute, excited reaction. I thought that was really fun to watch. And then we see
Carla,
Ryan's.
not so much though. She
Yeah,
wants to
Carla.
wait.
Yeah, Carla definitely had that even-handed suspicion. And then we see Ryan say that he's a free agent and he's not tied down to Coco. So what do you think about that?
Well, I did think that was interesting because later in the episode, we'll obviously talk about what happens with Ellie and everything. But when he finds out that Ellie is throwing out James and Cassidy's name, he goes right back to Coco, to the
Mm-hmm.
three of them, and tells them everything. And so it looks like he's trying to get good with everybody. Um, I don't think he had that great of an episode personally, but.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, we didn't really see much from him in this episode, except for the fact that he was like Spider-Man in that challenge, hanging upside down, helping people climb over him. That was pretty cool. What we're seeing from Ryan,
That
I
was
think, is a
insane.
a lot more of a traditional old school game in the sense, not in the successful sense that James is having, but in kind of he reminds me of almost BB from season one, the way we saw in that secret scene that you were telling me about, how he was isolating himself.
Yeah. So let's talk about the secret scene.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who haven't seen it, it was basically more of the show laughing at Ryan. So he is just by himself, working, separated from the group, and he's just building something. And he's basically telling the camera that, yeah, I just want to work hard. I want to be a provider, so people will keep me around. And then it cuts to people saying, yeah, he's working, but it's not really doing anything. Like some of his projects are successful, some aren't, and
Mm-hmm.
it's really not good that he's just doing it and separating himself from everybody. And then he actually cuts down. They had like a log out there that they would hang their clothes from to dry, and he's just cutting it down, and you see Sammy and Owen go, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" So I don't
Yeah.
think it looked very good for him, and it's just another one of those moments. There's been so many through this season that's just kind of been
Mm-hmm.
laughing at him. So I don't really see him having a chance to win this game.
Yeah, that scene with the clothes drying branch where he was cutting it down and Sammy's just like, no, it had twigs for our socks and everything. That
Yeah.
that was pretty awkward. But it is nice to see. I mean, I really don't want to clown on Ryan, but it is nice to see players who are making sort of blunders in the audience's eyes and in the players' eyes. I know that Ellie might not be the most trusted perspective at this point, but we saw her confessional in that secret scene saying that, we're all players of Survivor and this is just not how you want to be playing at a merge position.
Yeah. Ellie, another character who's making blunders, like you say.
Mm-hmm.
Not the best showing from her, and I knew it wasn't going to be a good ending for her when she basically said, yeah, I knew I was going to be good at Survivor, but I didn't know I was going to be this good. Like, I am socially great, everybody. I am in control right now, and I'm made for this game, basically. And
He,
you know when someone says that, it's not going to end well for him.
yeah, that was another confessional that as soon as I saw it, I was okay. I was like, okay, I'm not too confident in Ellie right now. Ellie's someone who I've loved since the beginning of the season, and I still love her. I think she's a great person, and she
Great
looks really good in front of
personality.
a camera. She's very good at telling the story of Survivor. I think she could
Hmm.
be a good second chance candidate if Survivor wants to bring her back and see how she could do, because
She could definitely come back.
yeah, she definitely embodies new school players, I think. The way she's trying to we saw how she was trying to play all sides a little bit and set up a decoy vote so that she was controlling the way one side was voting and she was also controlling the way another side was voting. But we saw how that didn't necessarily pan out because people do compare notes a lot more nowadays than they used to in Survivor. So if she were to come back, I would like to see how she adjusts that strategy and maybe tries to play a more low key under the radar game where she's not vying for too much control straight away.
I definitely think she would try to be more under the radar
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, and I don't. I think it must have just been she must have just been caught up with Gabler and like caught up on him saying like thinking like he's this fool and I'm playing him and I'm this
Mm-hmm.
mastermind and he's nothing. And it kind of just blinded her, really, I think, to the rest of the game. So I think if she comes back, she'll. I mean, also like you guys want to have a fake idol making session. Yeah, I mean, stuff like that. You got to tone
Mm-hmm.
it down a little sometimes.
He was excited.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of those things. You can't let it. When you get on Survivor and you hit the beach, you want to get going. You want to start playing. You want to start making alliances with everybody. But
Mm-hmm.
you can't come off like that. You're really, I mean, playing the game too early and too fast. People don't want to work with that. So you really gotta kind of control yourself when you get out there,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, exactly. So then we get to the actual merge at the Baca Beach, and we see Sam saying BYOB.
Yeah, where's the party at? BYOB.
um,
He's 21 for sure. He can drink.
yeah, of course. And then Jesse says that the pre-merge is like gladiator school. I'm loving Jesse's metaphors. He's got a
Yeah,
metaphor for everything out here.
Jesse,
Um,
not the biggest part of this episode, but he continues to be part of it, having key confessionals. Jesse continues
yeah,
to look great.
absolutely. I think actually the turning point of this episode strategically was after James's confessional, where he started to suss out Ellie and say, I don't think that Ellie's telling me the truth. He then
Great
goes
job
to
by him, by the way.
Jesse. Yeah, great job by James. I think James had a fantastic episode. But what James does is he goes to Jesse and tells him that Ellie was the one throwing out Cody's name. And that immediately trips Jesse's red flags. And as soon as Jesse finds out, he goes and tells all of Bessie, and that's when Ryan comes in, and then all of Coco knows. So at that point, Ellie is just completely screwed over, and it's really because of that relationship between James and Jesse, which I think if that gets highlighted a little more going forward, that could become one of the key relationships of the season.
Definitely could become something big because James kind of. I don't know if he feels this way on the island, but definitely from the viewer's perspective, he's a little bit overshadowed by Carla so far. So
Mm-hmm.
if he can, get with Jesse and get his own thing going, that could be big for him.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like I said about James, he's playing a more successful version of the old school game compared to Ryan in the sense that he's not out here trying to make huge moves. He's just focusing on the social relationships. Like he said, he needed
Definitely.
to talk to everyone to make sure that he wasn't going home. Whereas we saw Ellie saying she was playing a great social game, I think James really proved it tonight.
Yeah, and definitely goes back to that, subdued gameplay. Keep your control of yourself. He hasn't been going around trying to make big moves. He's just been, calm, easy with the plan. The
Mm-hmm.
one time, you had the whole Lindsay situation, but other than that, it's just been, go with the flow.
But the one thing that James doesn't have that Carla does have is an idol. And we saw some talk about idols at the merch here with Noelle telling Ellie about Cody's paw front hat.
That was
Yeah,
that was so
yeah.
funny. I love that moment.
Mhm. Yeah, I thought that was an excellent example of how Survivor can be funny and how Survivor can really let us know that some people know things and other people don't, and how that really
Yeah,
affects the
great
game. Because,
dramatic irony.
yeah, now not only does Ellie know, but Janine knows who has the idol, and Carla also knows because she's aware of the twist. So
Yeah,
it'll
you
be
have.
interesting to find out, once an idol is played, who knows about it and who doesn't. Because I honestly
Yeah,
can't keep track at this point.
I love the moment they have with Owen where he's like, I wish they had, something under my name that said everyone that had an advantage. And then,
Hmm.
it shows like Noel has to steal a vote, Jesse's got no vote, Janine, idol, no vote, Gabler, idol for one tribal. So is Gabler's idol good or is it expired?
That is a question that I wish I had the answer to, but I honestly don't. I think if it had expired this episode, the producers would have made sure he knew about that because obviously they want good TV, and he probably would have played it on someone else. Unless, I mean, he just wants it for a
Well,
souvenir.
do you think he would have played it? I don't think he would have played it on someone else
Well, he
unless
could have
he
played it on
played
Owen
her.
or Sammy just to gain trust because we did see Owen actually get a vote tonight, which I wasn't expecting. But if
I don't
Gabler had,
know. I think if you because I think if he does that, then maybe Cody plays his, and then Janine plays hers, and then it becomes an idol get in mini.
oh, I
I
would have
think
loved to see an idol get in though. You know,
I
I would have loved to
I
see that.
I thought that's what we might be headed for. I really did because I really thought Janine was gonna play it for Ellie.
Yeah, I think Janine would have been the first domino there. And I honestly was kind of expecting that domino to fall. I was a little shocked when she didn't do anything tonight.
Do you think that was the best move for her, or do you think she even knew that she was going home? Do you think she actually trusted
No.
Gabler?
Yes, I do. I think she trusted Gabler. I think she saw Gabler as more of a follower. And, maybe that is the case. He was just following a different plan.
They were
But
underestimating him the whole time. Her and
but yeah,
Ellie.
it definitely did seem that Janine, based on her face when Ellie's name came up, that Janine was surprised. And I think she would have played the idol had she known that Ellie was gonna go home.
Yeah, I'm just not sure that that would have been the best move for her though, because
See,
first of all,
but we saw in Dave vs. Goliath, Davey playing an idol on Christian allowed him to keep him in the game much longer, even though he ended up outlasting Christian anyway, and he almost won because of that. That was the move that really put him on the map, I think. And we could have had a similar situation with Janine, even though it would have likely put a bigger target on her back and established her as more of a strategic player going forward. It would have also given her a resume for the end, and it would have proven to people that she is loyal to the people she's with, so they can maybe use her as a shield, knowing that she'll vote with them and not try to blindside them. Even though I do think she would try to blindside them, it's just that playing the idol for someone else often gives people the perception that you are a more loyal player.
that's a good point. But here's what I think that's different than the Davies situation, and that is everybody really loved Christian, and there were still people who wanted to work with him. Um, this
Mm.
seems like most of the group wanted Ellie out, and especially Gabler still would have been pissed. And even Sammy, you heard him say at the tribal, if someone goes against the plan and plays an idol, it's a really bad thing it really shows where they're like how trustworthy they really are. So I think it could have really made the rest of the group go after her, and then she has no idol, and it's her and Ellie, and I really don't think they'd have anywhere to go from there. But now she still has her idol, and she can, I think everybody really hated Ellie, not Janine. So
Mm-hmm.
I think she can still get in with another group and be fine from here.
Yeah, like we were saying in the last podcast, we were talking about how Ellie and Janine were likely going to be targeted, and the one of them that survived could actually make a deep run in the game. And I think that's what we could be seeing with Janine. She obviously has a great strategic head. I don't think she's struggling socially at all. She really just was attached to Ellie's sinking ship a little bit. But now she does have an idol. She has her vote again, and so does Jesse, by the way. So it's nice to get that out of the way for both of them. And we'll see how she does. It's also interesting to note that Owen was also blindsided tonight because he was the other vote for James since Janine couldn't vote. And so I wonder why Owen was left out of that, or maybe he
Yeah,
did it on purpose.
that's something that I was a bit confused on. I actually wasn't sure why he voted James.
Hmm. And then we had Carla voting for Owen and Noelle voting for Cassidy, which also confused me a little bit. I think with Noelle, she's just trying to split, I guess.
I
And
think it was
obviously
just in
Carla's
case
for
idols are
Noelle.
played. I think
Hmm.
just in case an idols play, get a vote. Carla get a vote on Owen, get a vote on Cassidy, just in case.
Yeah. So that's not a very good omen for Owen at this point, because Carla obviously is a powerhouse strategically who's kind of maybe leading the Cocos a bit, and if she's
Well,
going to throw Owen under the bus, I don't
I mean,
know.
there weren't really. There was only 6 people, and 2 of them were Coco, and one of them was Ellie going home. So there's not. I mean, it was him or Sammy or Cody.
True.
So I don't think take too much from that.
Cody got no votes. That's a good testament to Cody's social game.
I still think everybody loves Cody. We haven't seen as much of him,
Hmm.
from him from the past 2 episodes, but I think he still has a really good chance at winning this game. I mean, yeah, I think he's playing really well. Everybody really seems to love him still.
Yeah, I
Like,
think editing wise, the way that we haven't seen him much the past 2 episodes is just kind of a much needed cool down for him because he's such a strong personality. But he's still definitely a force to be reckoned with in this season. Um, we saw his perspective a little bit, and he didn't seem to get worried at all when his name was out there. But he did flip on Ellie, of course, once he realized that she was playing all sides. And see, the thing with Ellie is that she was just trying to set up a decoy vote for Cody because she was targeting Coco. She was targeting James. So I think had Ellie gone to Bessie first and told them, hey, I'm thinking that obviously Coco's going to ask me for a name, and I'm not going to try to throw out Baka members because that would be too obvious. So I'm going to have to throw out Cody's name. Is that okay? That might have made
definitely.
them feel a lot more safe. And what we're seeing, I think, right now, maybe not so much based on the preview for next episode, where we see Jesse might be targeting Noelle a little bit. But what we're seeing right now is that Bessie, like we predicted last episode, is sticking together. And I think they were in a lot more of a swing position than we thought they were this episode.
Yeah, it does seem like they seem to be getting along with Sammy and Owen too. We saw them talking with Noel
Mm-hmm.
and Dwight. Um, so it'll be interesting to see where it continues to go. I think Gabler might be him or Ryan might be an easy boot next. Um, so we'll have to see where that goes. But I think Sammy and Owen looked pretty close together, and they looked like they
Mm-hmm.
could get in with Dwight and Noel and Cody.
Yeah. But right, it definitely seems like Bessie's good with everyone right now, and I would love to see that four-person Bessie tribe stick together as an alliance. I think the preview for next episode could be kind of a decoy to distract us, but I think if those four stick together, Cody, Noel, Dwight, and Jesse, they could be a really strong alliance. And I don't think people would necessarily suspect it either, or at least have red flags go up.
Yeah, that and also however Janine fits into all this. That
Yeah, I mean, Janine, just like Ryan, is kind of a free agent.
yeah, I mean, what they could get together. That would be a nice odd couple relationship. Ryan and
Yeah,
Janine. You don't see
Ryan
that
and
every
Janine.
day. Yeah.
um, but I honestly think Gabler might still be seen as a GOAT, even though he did show more control this episode. It wasn't necessarily received well by the rest of the cast. When Sammy found out about what Gabler had said about the bag search, he called him an idiot, and that was subtitled. So anytime something is subtitled in Survivor, you want to pay attention to that. And that wasn't a very good sign for Gabler, I think.
Yeah, and that was one of the moments that showed Owen and Sammy being close, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think Gabler has a lot of things going for him at this moment.
What did you think when he said that at the merge feast?
I thought it was really funny. Well, first I did, I didn't think there was anything that was gonna top Ryan's. This could be the final seven.
Yeah, that that was awkward. I mean, Ryan, it just reeked of desperation right there. He came off way
Yeah,
too forward. He could have been a lot more low key about it and still try to establish some kind of alliance there, but it was just too random of a combination with people. I think at that point at the merge, you just want to see who's aligned with who, and then start to go off into twos or threes, and then you start making finale deals, not final
yeah.
sevens.
You see Janine, I think it was, go. What? Like you think just because you lifted me up a wall, you think I'm gonna get an
Yeah,
alliance with you? Like it's just, and
exactly.
everybody's literally just like laughing at him, literally laughing at him, literally.
Yeah,
So,
it
but
just
yeah,
show yeah, it just shows who has a kind of a grasp of the relationships that are going on there and who doesn't. Because I think Gabler also had a blunder with talking about that in front of Janine. If he had said
yeah,
that in
that's
front of everyone else except for
in front
Janine,
of Janine.
like say Janine goes off to get something or something, and then he says it in front of the rest of them, I don't think that would have been a problem. But he really should have known that Janine was close enough to Ellie to immediately go and report that back to her. So that was a mistake on his part, I think.
Yeah, and I honestly think he might have known it was gonna get back and just not have cared. Honestly, like he thinks, I've got a golden opportunity here. I've got six other people, just sitting here waiting for me to say something. So I'll say something bad about Ellie, and everybody will hate Ellie. And I
Honestly,
don't care.
yeah.
I don't care if she finds out about it.
And really, I mean, going after Ellie wasn't a terrible move on Gabler's part because she was someone that was going to be a threat to him down the line, and she had established herself as sort of a sneaky villainous player with going through the bag. But that is an instance where he kind of threw away the possibility for having an easy tribe alliance based on a vendetta. Really, it was a grudge that he was holding from like what the second episode.
Yeah, well, I can't blame him for that. I mean, can you? I mean, someone's going through your bag. They clearly don't respect you at all.
Yeah, I just wouldn't have been so aggressive about it if I were him because, like we saw, he got
Definitely.
Sammy mad about that. Even though Sammy did decide that it was Ellie's turn to go home at that moment because of that, that was sort of a too big of a risk for the reward, I think.
Yeah, we got a good moment from Sammy. When Ellie went and told him about what happened with
Yeah.
Gabler, and he's like, Ellie's a good player. She could spin this round on me, so I've got to figure things out. And he figured it out, and somehow he came out unscathed from that. And
Yeah.
like Ellie really wasn't questioning how Gabler found out about it. Like Owen and Sammy were just like, I didn't tell him, and she's just like, well, he knows. So and she didn't
Yeah.
really press. So yeah, I think that was a good job by Sammy to get out of that, and now Ellie's gone. So I think,
Yeah.
like I said, Sammy and Owen are looking good. I think.
Yeah, Sammy definitely is still playing a great game. I love that moment where he was like, Ellie has to go tonight. And then the camera like cuts to these wasps. That like gave me chills.
Yeah,
That was good.
that was really cool. And I just harken back to the editing of the season. I've been loving it so far. Pretty much everything about it, honestly, from the challenges to moments like that.
Yeah, so actually let's go back and talk about the challenge. Walking into the challenge, we had some really nice cinematic shots, those slow motion, where it was showing all their
Yeah,
faces walking, and I thought that was really cool.
I
That
really,
got
I
me
really,
hyped.
I really enjoy when Survivor kind of takes itself seriously like that. Like
Exactly.
I like when it's like intense.
Yeah, it got the adrenaline pumping a little bit.
Hmm. I mean, there was a bit of an awkward shot with Janine close up in the front, but that's fine.
That was funny.
And then Janine going to the wrong mat. She's like, "We got this. Let's fucking go, guys." He's like, "Oh,
Oh, that
sweetie,
was
you're blue."
hilarious.
It's like, "Oh, guys, I'm sorry."
Oh, I love that. I was waiting for something like that to happen. I can't believe you haven't seen something like that before. That was
I
awesome.
mean, that's gotta happen when they're out there.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we get a different take on the Mergatory twist with this season. We get no Hourglass, no Smashing Hammers, no Exile. Instead, we get two teams of six competing against each other, where one person, who ends up being Noel, draws the gray rock, and they get to choose which team to align themselves with, and they ride or die. So if that team wins, they get to win and earn their spot in the merge. If that team loses, they're vulnerable. And lucky for Noelle, she made the right choice. Honestly, I was telling the screen to pick red. I was like, pick red, but she picked blue. It was a pretty even matchup, but she ended up making the right choice, and it worked out for her. So good on her, and good for blue team. That was a
Yeah,
brutal challenge, by the way.
that was a really tough challenge and a tough puzzle too. And I was saying
Mm-hmm.
before, like during the challenge when was it Red was starting to win, was starting to get ahead. I was saying like, it's gonna come down to the puzzle no matter what, because that's a really tough puzzle, and
Yeah,
that's what happened. I did have a feeling that she was gonna pick blue because Dwight was on there, and that's her closest ally so far. Just for that reason only.
oh, I didn't even think about that. But
I mean,
yeah,
because that's what I would do.
earning your spot at every stage. The word ones are always, I feel like, the hardest to figure out, but that was a particularly hard one.
Definitely, yeah, and it's still a puzzle that you have to figure out the pieces putting together. And it's just random
Yeah,
letters. It's that. I really wonder how long that really took.
I do too. Also, oh, Carla smashing her finger with the crate. I didn't actually
Brutal.
see how that happened, but I saw the aftermath, and I was cringing for like the rest of the challenge. It was hard.
Yeah, that was brutal. I mean, that looked like it hurt. And then she still has to get up the wall, and she's like trying to grab onto Ryan with her hand. It's just,
Hmm. Yeah,
it
when
was,
she starts sliding down with both hands touching the wall. Oh, I literally went,
yeah,
wow,
that was
man,
bad.
that is rough. So rough. But she got through it. She
Survivor.
earned her spot in the merge, so I'm happy for her about that. And Carla still is in a great position strategically, I think. So, plus with an idol, I think the only one that nobody really knows about, unless people, of
Yeah,
course,
it was
figure out the beads thing.
definitely, yeah, but when Owen was doing the whole list thing, the only question mark was the one that Carla had. So I don't think anyone else really knows about it. And yeah, I think
Hmm.
I think Carla's still continuing to play a great game so far. Really, I mean,
Absolutely.
everybody's going up to her, giving her information. She seems to be cool with everybody. She seems to be really controlling everything pretty much.
Hmm.
So
What about Dwight? Where do you think Dwight stands right now? Because we didn't really hear much from him tonight. We saw him a little bit in the preview for next episode, which just made me think of him. But where do you think he stands right now?
yeah, I'm
Because
not.
actually, one thing I do want to point out, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but one thing I do want to point out is that he was telling Ellie what Gabler said at the Birch Feast. So even though he's not kind of in the spotlight right now, he's sort of feeding the flames a little bit under the radar.
Yeah, I'm not really quite sure what to make of Dwight to this point. I don't think. I mean, he has been pretty under the radar. So he
Mm-hmm.
seems to be close with Noel. That seems to be his tight duo. And obviously Noel has to steal a vote. Um, and I think Jesse still seems to be good with him, and Cody, fine. And yeah, there he had that connection at the merge with everybody else. I think he's fine. I'm not. He hasn't been playing like he hasn't really been in control so far too much. So, but I think his relationship with Noel could work out to his favor. And obviously, as long as he keeps Jesse close and Jesse thinks that they're really, really tight and that's his main duo, then I think Dwight will be fine.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, Jesse is still playing a great game. We saw Jesse and James getting closer. Jesse being social with pretty much everyone. Was there another new relationship with Jesse that we saw tonight? I'm mostly just thinking of him and
Him and
James.
him and James were close. Other than that, Um, I don't know. I don't know.
I would
I
like
mean,
to
I'm
see him
sure he
work with
was.
Sammy and Owen. I think those three could
Yeah,
work
that
together.
that would be a really cool trio to see for sure.
Hmm. And then obviously Ryan is just playing kind of the more provider game right now. I think Ryan might be somewhat of a goat too in the same camp as Gabler. But I also think that Ryan is someone who is gonna try to feel he's gonna feel the itch to make a big move eventually, and he's going to I mean we saw him throw a challenge already. So
Yeah,
he's gonna do
I
something
think he already got
drastic.
that itch and tried to scratch it. Didn't really
Yeah.
work out too well.
Yeah, he's gonna get the itch again, and I think he could seriously mess up someone's game and throw a wrench into people's plans. So that would be interesting to watch. He might be someone that people feel they have to get rid of just so they can neutralize that chaos element and not have their plans be wrecked. But otherwise, I could see him being a goat as well. But he could also come around and turn into a much more strategic player who gains a lot more control and starts making his own moves for real. Who knows?
Yeah, I love Ryan. I don't want to be mean or anything, but I'm not sure that he's the exactly the sharpest tool in this shed. So I'm not sure he's going to be suddenly become the strategic mastermind. Um, so I think the provider role is right for him, and he would have been a lot
Yeah.
better in one of the really early seasons.
Yeah.
Maybe could have given Rupert a run for his money, but um, yeah, I don't really see him going too far. 'Cause I think people would rather just take out a wild card variable that they're not sure about than
Hmm.
have someone that wants to play a big game, who wants to mess things up, and you're not really sure where they want to go, and you can't really predict them. So I think he could be an easy vote here pretty soon.
Yeah, but we'll see if he can blow anything up on his way out, if he is going to. Um, who else? Cassidy, I think, is still playing pretty solid right now. I don't think we saw a ton from her tonight.
Not a lot
Um,
from Cassidy, but
she had a good conversation with Ellie that made me feel a little bit more hopeful about Ellie's game. But then, of course, she found out about Ellie being the one throwing out James's name and apparently trying to split between James and Cassidy. So
yeah,
once Cassidy heard her name out there, it was over.
yeah, definitely. Uh, Obviously, it had the potential there to be a team up with Baka and Bessie to take, like we were talking about Mechagodzilla
Hmm.
last week. Yeah, classic case of Ellie overplaying though, trying to like I don't know why she even went over to talk to Cassidy at all.
Yeah, I think that is really just new school syndrome trying to play the field all around. I think she was really trying to fully actualize her strategic game and make sure that she had all of her bases covered, but in the end, none of her bases were covered. So, you know, I really think that had she just gone to Bessie and explained things more and said, "I'm really with you guys. I know it might seem like I'm trying to play all sides, but I'm not. I'm just doing that because I have to, and I don't want to throw out your name." I think she could have been a lot more solid, but live and learn.
Definitely, yeah. And it goes back to if she ever comes back, definitely more of
Hmm.
an under the radar. You don't want to tell people the plan. You don't want to ask for the plan. Just
Hmm.
be cool with everybody. And that's also funny. I think when who was Ellie talking with? I think it was James. Um, when James is like, "Yeah, just give me a name. Who do you want to throw out?" And
Yeah.
she's like, "Yeah, I don't know. Well, let's see. I really want to keep Baka safe, so Sammy and Owen are safe, and obviously you and Cassidy are good. So
Yeah, she's
you
like, well, I'm
know,
not going to vote for myself.
yeah, and I'm not gonna vote for myself.
Yeah.
So
That was a little bit extra.
yeah,
I think what she was trying to do is kind of like what I said, where make it seem like she wasn't hardcore throwing out Cody's name, but she was still talking to James. She still had to throw
I
out the
mean,
name. All
yeah,
that really did was
you're
make it
still
seem like,
throwing it out. It's just making it seem
yeah,
like you don't want to throw out his name.
exactly. And that just ended up raising some red flags for James, which set this whole episode in motion, really.
Yeah, and shout out to James for reading it correctly. He's like, I don't trust
Hmm.
her at all. Another correct
Yeah.
read. Chess player. I think he's James looking pretty good.
Yeah, the common thread that we've seen for James through all these episodes is that he doesn't let the paranoia get to him. He doesn't let his name being out there get to him. He talks to everyone. He does what he needs to do. He calms people down, and he keeps his alliance solid. And that's really what matters in Survivor. So good for him.
He's cool. He's going with the flow. He's
Yeah,
chill. He's acting
I'd
like
love
he
to
was
see him
quiet
win.
earlier. Yeah, he'd be a great winner on my fantasy team. So
Lucky.
luck has nothing to do with it.
Well, hopefully James can take home a win from my fantasy team because I just lost Ellie. So, and wait, did I say James or Jesse? I must say Jesse.
Yeah, I understood you because I know you have Jesse.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Jesse would be another great winner,
Yeah,
and
for
he
sure. I
obviously
love
has the
Jesse.
potential.
Mm-hmm. But we'll see if Jesse ends up targeting Noel in the next episode. I still think that's a decoy, but we'll see if that causes Bessie to fracture a little bit. I think that Bessie could be the main alliance going forward.
They seem to be in a really good position, and it seems
Mm-hmm.
like Baca is really fractured, so they're the ones going up who need to go up to them. So I think Messi seems to be in control here.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll see how the next episode plays out and the rest of the season plays out. If you had to pick one winner pick right now, I'm assuming James.
I'd probably go with Jesse.
Okay, I'll go with James then.
All right, okay, nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Jesse so much. I mean, every time he's
Yeah.
on screen, I love every time he talks.
Yeah, same.
uh,
Honestly, I really
yeah,
do.
he's a great character so far. And
Another person who I'm sure will come back no matter how he does.
oh yeah, definitely. And it'll be interesting to see when the next, hopefully, 45 is a returning season. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um,
45 I think would be a good spot for a returning season. Hopefully
yeah.
they're still willing to bring back players from older seasons pre 40 because I know Jeff had said
Oh
that
yeah,
yeah, he
they
said at
have
one
to. I
point
mean,
yeah that they weren't going to, but I think he's since changed his mind. So I definitely love to see a ton of people come back.
yeah. There's so many people. I mean, they could do a third chance season. They could do a second chance season. But
Yeah,
then, hopefully 50 is, the big legend season with everybody. So, and
that would be pretty amazing.
what would you think if they like expanded the cast or something like that?
I'd be down for that. No more than 30 though. No more than 30.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking like 24 or something, but
Yeah,
yeah,
24 is perfectly reasonable. I mean, we see that with Australian Survivor. So,
because there's just so many great people out there who you need to get back on the show, honestly.
yeah, absolutely. And a ton of great players this season. So, yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how the rest of the season shakes out now that we've officially made it past the Mergatory and we're here in the official merge. Everyone has their merge buff, which is a really nice, like, what, turquoise color? I really liked it. The one thing I am sad about is that Ellie made the merge. Well, she made Mergatory, but not the jury.
Not
I
officially
never,
the merge.
yeah, I don't really like it when people make it to that stage of the game. I know it's not technically the merge, but I don't like it when people make it to the merge phase and don't get to be on the jury.
Like
Like with
Boston
Jessica.
Rob.
Yeah. Well, he didn't make the merge. Oh yeah, I mean, in more cases, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, obviously, we've had seasons like Heroes vs. Villains where the jury started before the merge, and that's not the best thing either. But I think it's fair to start the jury at the merge, even if it is mergatory.
That just reminds me of Abdi Maria saying, "You made the merge" to Andrew Savage, and he flips her off.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I feel bad for Ellie, but she had her time to shine while she was here, and unfortunately was kind of an epic Shakespearean downfall for her. But we'll see how the rest of the cast does. Obviously, we're in for a good rest of the season because we know these characters well. And I think pretty much everyone here is likable, and they've got a different story going on.
Yeah, definitely. Great season so far, I think, and I think it's gonna get even better. So thank you all for sticking around and listening to us, and we'll be back next week, same time, to recap episode 7, Survivor 43. It's gonna be a great time, and we hope to see you there. So, see ya.
See you, everyone.